Bad Neighbours 2, or as it's known in the US, Neighbours 2 Sorority Rising, is a new comedy film directed by Nicholas Stoller. It stars Seth Rogen, Rose Byrne, Zac Efron, and Chloe Grace Moretz. The first Bad Neighbours was about a young couple who live in a house that has a fraternity move next door to them. They wind up at odds with the fraternity, of course, because of the noise and parties and all that sort of thing when they're trying to look after a baby, and wind up having quite a hilarious confrontation. In the second movie, which of course every sequel should expand upon the first installment and improve it, we now have a story about a couple who live in a house where a sorority moves in next door to them, and they wind up at odds with the sorority and have a big fight with them because of the noise and the parties and God, isn't that the first movie, but instead of guys we have girls? Oh yeah. Yep. Basically, we just got the same movie, but with chicks instead of dudes living next door to them. I'm not kidding. It's the same movie, but worse. Much worse. When Bad Neighbours came out, I actually didn't mind it. I thought it was quite an enjoyable comedy. I really liked Nicholas Stoller's previous films, especially Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Get Him to the Greek. And the thing I found with the first movie that I loved so much was actually the chemistry between Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne. They really seemed to enjoy being in the movie, and it came across through the screen. I always find whenever, even if you've got a movie that's pretty average, if they had fun making it, it always makes it a more fun movie to watch. And that's definitely something I got with the first one. This time round, oh man, even they couldn't save it. Like, they just seemed to be going through the motions. This was like a paycheck movie for them. They were kind of funny. Look, the movie, it had a few good moments, I gotta admit, especially in the first 10-15 minutes. There were some good laugh-out-loud gags, but it just grew tiring after, I don't know, maybe half an hour or so. I really probably could have actually walked out and not really cared what happened. And honestly, Chloe Grace Moretz, what the hell were you thinking? I know chances are pretty slim that she's actually going to watch this, but hypothetically, what were you thinking, girl? I mean, previously she's done some really great roles. I know she's, done sort of comical action stuff like in the Kick-Ass movies, but I always thought, here is an actress who was actually on her way to getting an Oscar. Like, you could just kind of tell she was one of those people. And in this movie, she was just playing a dumb sorority girl who you just didn't like. That was the thing. I just didn't like any of the characters in the movie, and it just, made it less entertaining. I will say, though, I saw it at a preview screening, and it's one funny thing I always find with preview screenings is that when you give people a free ticket to a movie, like, they seem to laugh it up no matter what. There was one bit sort of towards the end of the movie where the screen went dark and it just came up with the words 3 months later, and the woman behind me actually chuckled at that. I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, what the hell? Like, do you find the font amusing? I just don't get people sometimes. So, look, there's a few great gags in it, a lot of them revolving around gross-out humour. I mean, the opening scene, it's not a spoiler or anything, but the opening scene involves a character getting thrown up on their face, and things like that. Some of the gags were okay, but look, overall, it was just a pointless movie. I mean, you watch the first one and you see there's a sequel coming out and you think to yourself, is that a story that really needs to be told? And the answer was no. I really can't recommend this flick to anyone. Maybe down the track, if you're a fan of the first one, down the track, if it's on Netflix or something, check it out. But yeah, there's so many other good movies out at the moment that I would highly recommend over this one. So I'm going to give Bad Neighbours 2 a 3 out of 10. Now, in case you're wondering how my rating system works, a 5 is like your average movie. A 5 is just one that's neither great or terrible. It's just an average kind of movie. 10, obviously, is an absolute masterpiece. And, a 1 is down the other end of the scale. And I think anything below a 5 is kind of one of those just sort of forgettable sort of movies that you're never going to watch again. And yeah, this one, look, it was adequately made. It had a few laughs, so it gets a 3. That's all I'm going to say about it. So if you've seen it, let me know what you thought about it. Maybe you absolutely loved it. That's the thing. This is just my opinion. Who knows? It could be the best movie you've ever seen. I really hope it's not the best movie you've ever seen. So drop me some comments either here on YouTube or on Facebook. The link to my Facebook page is down below because I like to talk about movies and I would love to talk about movies with you. See you next time.
Hey you there. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Click subscribe. You see the big word up the top that says subscribe? Well, click on it. Click on it now. Do it. Yeah.